don't see the gavel. I know. I got my ear horn.
Too much power.
They're done. Exactly. I have one of those. All right, guys, you ready? Excellent. Thank you. Welcome, everybody. We'll start off our meeting. We'll see if we can get done within the hour here. So, first thing on the agenda is we're going to have a motion for minutes for the April 6th meeting. They were out in the back of the room when you came in to sign in. Hopefully people had a chance to review them. People have, will accept a motion to accept the minutes. So moved. Second? Second. Any discussion? All those in favor? Aye. Opposed? Ayes carried. Thank you. Oh, introductions. I went right by introductions. Okay?
That's why I'm here. I'm here to help you.
Exactly. I'm trying to get the. As is customary, we like to do introductions for all the new people coming. For those who do not know me, I'm Ron Passett. I'm one of your co-chairs.
Phil Simonian, Yarmouth Fire, also co-chair. Sean O'Brien, coordinator from Barnstable County.
Ed Hayward, Police Chief in Eastham.
Tim Collins, Chief Truro Fire.
Tom Rulo, Mashpee Fire.
Kevin Morley, RAPC.
Roy Jones, Cape Cod Regional Transit Authority, Barnstable County IMT.
Brian Dale, Cape Cod Regional Transit Authority.
Debbie Rogers, Falmouth Community Television.
John Cobble, Chatham PD.
Jim Sullivan, Dennis PD.
Buster Brown, Dennis Fire.
Dan Farrakhan, Eastham 5.
Dan Howard, Amateur Radio Emergency Service Team.
Frank O'Laughlin, Amateur Radio Emergency Service, Red Cross DST.
Joe Gordon, Barnstable County Sheriff's Office.
Doug Forbes, Beaver Region 2.
Pete DiMatteo, Dennis PD.
June Barrett Ford.
Lance Lambert, Senator Mosquito's office.
Jeff Tavares, Falmouth Fire.
Priscilla Pine, HMCC and IT.
Mike Walker, IMT, and also MAC coordinators for both.
Bill Burt, Barnstable County.
Rachel Potts, SMEMA.
Nicole Mucci, AmeriCorps Cape Cod.
Shannon Jarbo, Cape Cod Cooperative Extension.
Jake Geringer, AmeriCorps Cape Cod. Jeff Rossi, AmeriCorps Cape Cod.
Gabrielle Sikorsky, Cape Cod Mosquito Control.
David Yerxa, Massachusetts Maritime.
Brittany Driscoll, West Maritime.
Paul Hoying, Red Cross.
Patrick O'Neill, Red Cross.
Ann Peterson, Cape Cod National Seashore.
Ron Azizian, Cape Cod National Seashore.
Donnie Lewis, EMD.
Carmichael Pat, Massachusetts Maritime Cabinet. Amy Alati, Barnstable County Emergency Planning.
Mike Wincom Fire.
Mike Clark, Barnstable PD.
Tom Ash, Barnstable Sheriff's Office.
Christopher Olson, Katuitt Fire.
We have seats up front, people. Come on up. Full house. Nice. Next up on our agenda is subcommittee reports. First one up is the executive committee.
We met last 2 weeks ago. Introduced the new members of the committee: Chief Rulo, Chief DiMatteo, Jerry McDermott from I almost said NSTAR.
Yes.
Yeah, Eversource. And so we've added our 3 new members, and we will be meeting again next month.
Thanks. Any questions for the E-Board? Next up, Hazmat Tier 2 update. Amy.
No update really, just a reminder to the town officials in the room that HAZCOM and GHS trainings are highly recommended. It's going into May, we're almost into half of the year, and those are annual mandatory trainings for your staff. Even if they've taken an OSHA 10, HAZCOM and GHS is mandatory, and that includes first responders. I have 4 chiefs in the room that can vouch the class is worthwhile. I'd love to hear from you and come out and offer the class for OEMS credit.
Thank you. Any questions for Hazmat Tier 2?
How many people do you need for a class A?
I can train groups as small as 4 or 5, up to 50, 60, and I can train each of the shifts if you don't want to pay backfill overtime. 2 hours of credit.
Any other questions? Health Agents Coalition.
I'll take that.
Oh, okay.
I coordinate them. They had their meeting on April 29th, and we had several good updates, but the primary thing was they completed the second in a series of public information officer training in case they get any inquiries or panic discussion on Zika this summer. And that's going to tie into our guest speakers.
Any questions for the Health Agent Coalition? All right, IMT.
The only new thing was last week, a few members went out and assisted Eastham New Orleans in an oil spill exercise down there.
Excellent. Any questions for IMT? Sheltering Task Group.
Sheltering Task Group did not meet prior to this meeting. Instead, we had a series of folks come in and were videotaped for the shelter videos that Kevin Morley's been leading. So thanks to all the folks who did come in from the various organizations, and we'll probably resume our regularly scheduled meetings in next month, I guess.
Okay. Any questions for the Sheltering Task Group? American Red Cross.
Good afternoon. Start off by introducing Patrick O'Neill. We said that the last meeting we have a new disaster program manager that's joined us, that's on board. I'll be serving a support role to him, but from here on out he'll be the primary contact for the RAPC. So thank you for the chance to work with you for the last couple months. We've been talking about the shelter supplies that we're having coming into Nantucket. They have arrived. They're trailer-based, so we doubled our mobile capacity out there. So that's ready to go. We've delivered the heater meals to MEMA in Bridgewater, so those were the meals that were going to support the traffic plan should we need to work at Joint Base Cape Cod. So that's the food portion of that. And just on a day-to-day basis, we continue to provide canteening service for your departments on 2 alarms or better. So we serve that canteening arm, and we've responded to a number of home fires where we provide direct assistance to clients that are displaced.
Just want to thank Paul for standing in for the last 3 months. Thank you for all the help.
Thank you. It's been a pleasure. Really good.
Thank you.
MEMA.
MEMA, well, we have the Citizen Corps meetings are coming up. Let me double check that. May 10 at 2 p.m. and 6:30 p.m. at the Region 2 office. If you're involved in that, we'd love to see you. The next thing we'd like to mention is the ERD or DOT Hazardous Material Guidebooks are just about to Region 2. We anticipate them hitting our offices the next day or 2 or a week for sure. And as soon as they're there, that very minute, James is going to send out an email and let you know about pickup or delivery or whatever you might be needing. Now, the other thing that we have, I'm not going to steal David's thunder, but we have a Hurricane Preparedness Conference coming up, and I'll let him give the dates and the details of all the important educational stuff. But let me just tell you, it's a great venue, and the food is terrific. And I'll pass it to David.
Good afternoon, everybody. My name is David Bryan. I'm the Training and Exercise Coordinator for MEMA Region 2. I know I've met many of you, but not all of you. So yes, Doug mentioned that the Hurricane Conference is coming up on May 26th. We do encourage all of you to go to that. The lunch is worth the drive, I'll give you that much already. No, we have a great line of speakers from the National Hurricane Center, National Weather Service, the Coast Guard, and we have a regional administrator from FEMA who will also be speaking. So I do encourage you to check that out. You can register through our training and registration system. Or if you go to the MEMA website, there'll be a flyer and some details there. Secondly, I wanted to speak just a moment about a Incident Command class, or ICS 402. Okay? So this is different than the normal ICS classes that we offer to responders. This is designed for executives, elected town officials, senior leadership, and other administrators. We're going to be having 2 sessions here on the Cape. The first one's going to be on June 22 from 9 to 12 a.m. here in this room. Okay? So I'd like for you to take this information back to your town officials, your managers, your selectmen, whoever you think might benefit from this class. Basically, this is going to be an introduction to ICS. It's going to be in a sort of an orientation of how the role of an executive official will relate into incident response. Okay, it's extremely valuable, I think definitely for you, so you can sort of give them a taste of what you're into every day along those lines. We're going to be doing a second session of that, it being an evening course. We're going to be doing it in Brewster. The chief is just confirming right now whether it's going to be on that same Wednesday the 22 or Thursday the 23. I expect to have information by the end of the day today. I will send information and flyers to Sean O'Brien, and I'm sure he can distribute them out to the council. If you have any questions for me, I'll be around at the end of the meeting. Thank you.
Thank you. Any questions for MEMA? Cape Liaison Task Group. I'll take it to start with. I know we have met a little more than a month ago. We are slowly making some progress. We're about to have a new chair. I think the sheriff has one of his IT people going to help lead us in this, so we are exploring that. And I don't remember exactly when our next meeting's coming up, but I'm sure it's in my calendar. So.
Yeah, I can actually follow up. We're actually going to be pushing that meeting off, Chief, so you can erase it.
Oh, good.
We are, basically what's happening is we're really, you're starting to see a lot of news stories about body cameras. The City of Boston, I think, has put an RFP out, and I think there was a story last night regarding Methuen Police Department, and they received a grant to try them out as well. One of the things that we're looking at is we're just trying to make sure that the whole legal end of it has been reviewed. Meaning, number one, how long do you store tapes for? How long do you store the video for, etc. And see where there's some legal continuity on that. So we are, I guess the same day as our meeting is another meeting with the Secretary of State's office, and or actually with all of the district attorneys that are out there. So we will. We're actually going to postpone ours because hopefully we can get some good information back, and hopefully make some decisions at that point. Because I think before we start looking at grants and looking at the use of these, we want to make sure that we've handled things to a point where legally the department is covered, but also has adequate data storage. And that's been one of the big fears, is making sure that we have the right data management system in there as well. And anything else, Chief, that?
No, I think, we want to make sure we have all our ducks in a row prior to taking this on, because it can be a real albatross if we do it the wrong way. The legal ramifications relative to having this information and the public information side of it with respect to the press, whoever, asking for this video and not having that knowledge prior to, in terms of what we can legally release and what we have to hold, can really cause us some issues. So that's essentially where we are.
Any questions for the liaison task group? Okay. Citizen Corps.
All right, Citizen Corps Council. There's been a change in the structure of the Citizen Corps Council. Amy Alatti, as we all know, is one of the greatest people we'll ever meet here on Cape Cod. But she's very busy, as we already heard her, with the Health Agents Coalition and with the Hazardous Material Tier 2 reporting. Amy is stepped aside as the chair, and I can't speak highly enough about what Amy has brought to our region in terms of the volunteer reception centers that she has led the charge on putting together throughout the whole region. She took a FEMA spontaneous volunteer reception center program and took it from nothing here in the region. And if we look back on Katrina and what happened at Joint Base Cape Cod and how people were overwhelmed, and all of us were, with the people who wanted to spontaneous volunteer without being vetted and go into a secure location that they couldn't even access to, it was chaos, very chaotic. And Amy was there, she saw that. So she brought the VRC to the region. She put it together. We have 3 site locations. All the MOUs are signed. We've had 3 walkthrough exercises, full-scale exercise all day long that we've been doing since 2014. And I'll tell you what, I just want to give a round of applause. That being said, she nominated me to be the next chair. Thank you. So VRC all-day walkthrough exercise that we had tentatively planned for the fall of September 2016 has been temporarily postponed due to site location conflict, and we're still going to continue working on that. That's all I got for Citizen Corps.
Any questions for Citizen Corps? Aries.
Okay, well, it's good to see everybody, and on a personal note, thank you for everybody for all your help the other month, appreciate that. The Aries continues to move forward. We're trying to recruit more, as all volunteer agencies are. We're also looking to expand our capability to carry more data and also imagery backup when we lose our primary systems. whether they be internet-based or cell phone-based. And we're looking forward to doing a summer exercise to test some of that capability between several of the shelters, ELCs, and back here to, we're going to set up almost a max situation with just, we won't have to have the whole team there, but just set up some communication gears once we get the antennas up and get a lifelike scenario going, just for a day.
Excellent. Nice seeing you back.
Thank
Any
you.
questions for Aries? Barnstable County Sheriff's Office.
Next week, we're going to have our Community Emergency Response Team class that we hold in the spring, graduate at Massachusetts Maritime Academy. And Tara McEnroe-Kent's been instrumental in setting up the facilities over there. We'll have 21 new members of CERT online, and Brian Gallant's taught at the last class teaching the sheltering component, which was very well received.
Excellent, very good.
Nothing else.
Any questions for the Sheriff's Office? PIO.
I'm in the process of working with we have a subcommittee on mosquito-borne diseases, and the committee has decided to follow the pattern we did with the radiation emergency sheet. And so this is just a rough draft. We're going to do the same thing for mosquito-borne diseases. I'm also working with Cape Cod, I have worked with Cape Cod DART on publicizing their training, working with Deirdre Arverson, the county nurse, on publicity for the sunscreen dispenser program, and working with Diane Drummond of the MRC for the Well Baby Fair, coming in the end of May. And also today we had a very successful videotaping session for the shelter videos. Okay.
So Kevin's keeping busy. Any questions for Kevin? All right, none?
Yeah, if you just want to introduce.
That should be, all right. Next up on the agenda, we're going to be talking about a hazardous materials exercise class. This is a class that we've been doing yearly. We've elected, when I was in the room, that we moved it down to Wellfleet, so we're going to have it at the National Park. We have a couple of our fine cadets who are here to brief us on the exercise that's happening in 2 weeks.
Yes, sir.
All right.
18.
18. So, am I still talking longer, Sean, to give you a little time? You good? All right.
Yeah, all is good.
All is good here, so.
Look at that.
Look at that, perfect time.
Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. We have obviously a brief slide for us.
Yes, so as David said, we're going to be doing our tabletop exercise on May 18th. We were kind of told that we can't really share a lot of details about it, for obvious reasons. So that's why we have a really short slide. But yes, we'll be involving the National Park Service, Town of Wellfleet, County of Barnstable. Then there'll be 12 of us kind of helping to run it.
Just let me know when to change.
Next slide. This is where we will be having that exercise at the Wellfleet Fire Department. There's a lot of parking around it, outside of it, and it's kind of all we can, I'm allowed to tell you for right now. And just to give you a perspective on where the fire department is and where, and to give you an idea of where we will be doing the incident, that is just a blown up picture of where it could possibly be.
So as Ms. Malati and Mr. O'Brien, I'm sure you've heard from both of them, we kind of have to cap it. So right now it's between like 40 and 45. So unfortunately it's not open to everyone because the fire departments can only hold so many people. Are there any questions for us?
Here we go.
Are we good?
All right, well, thank you. That concludes
It's a
our
new definition of brief.
Thank you.
Can I just add a little short?
Oh.
First, I want to thank the cadets for coming, and I want to thank the Park Service for coming too, because the whole scenario this year features their Tier 2 facilities. Well, I can't talk about it.
Oh.
But we just want to thank them and their representatives for planning with us, and Chief Bissett for planning with us, and Chief Pauley, and the cadets for working so hard. And we really don't want anyone to take any offense at all that we really had to scale back this year. It's simply logistics. We don't have the facility space for that part of the Cape, and we don't have the parking. So this is just one of those odd years where the class participation is small, the facility is small, and with the parking limited. So we carefully and respectfully chose people very relevant to the scenario to be invited, so that we could fit everybody in comfortably and have a successful day of learning and then drilling as well. So we just really appreciate everybody's understanding. If you don't get an invitation, listen, the food every year is terrible. It's boring. I'm the only one that likes hazmat in the room. I'm not missing anything. So if we'll go all brand next year if we can, and everyone will be included at that time. So don't take offense. It's just logistics this year. So thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Anybody have any questions about the tabletop exercise?
One question, have the parties that will be invited, have they already been notified, or is that to happen?
The invitation has not been sent out yet.
It's going on today, we just got it.
We can't.
Okay, great, thank you.
Not there.
It's really not happening.
I was adding a my invite, I'm good.
Somebody write down Bell's name.
All right, next item up is our presentation. I'm going to do an update on Zika and other mosquito-borne illness. We have Gabrielle here. I know this has been making the news, and we have an informal subcommittee that we started talking about this, and we realized that we don't know a lot about it. So we thought we'd bring Gabrielle to help educate us.
Well, thanks for inviting me. I hope you're not going to have to listen to more about mosquitoes than you want to. I can't help it. That's our work. It's my passion, killing mosquitoes. My name is Gabrielle Sokolsky. I'm the entomologist and the assistant superintendent for Cape Cod Mosquito Control. We are charged with managing mosquito populations in all of Barnstable County. We work for 15 towns. We're a quasi-state organization, so we work for you. Our organization was established back in 1930. We are the first organized mosquito control project in the Commonwealth of Massachusetts. So the way we do mosquito control in the Cape, some of you may or may not know, and I know sometimes we overlap. I hate to say it, but we're out in the field walking through people's yards. I know they call people sometimes. What are they doing there? It's a big green truck that says mosquito control on the side. That's what we're doing there. We use integrated pest management to control mosquitoes. So we use sort of a three-tiered approach. Year-round, we're doing education to citizens. Mosquitoes develop in standing water. Go out there and empty all that water that's collecting in your yard or around your facilities, places like that. In the wintertime, October through March, our crews are out there doing water management. Standing water means habitat for mosquitoes to lay their eggs in. We are out there cleaning ditches, making sure fish can move up and down them, making sure that should there be a storm event, that the water has a place to go. And we've been talking a lot with Sharon about issues like that. We're looking at the mosquitoes, she's looking at where the stormwater is going. It's all the same thing in a way. In the summertime, this time of year, our crews are out there checking standing water for mosquitoes. So, again, I'm an entomologist, love to show mosquito pictures. Mosquitoes go through complete metamorphosis. They lay their eggs in or around standing water. So that's the key right there. The eggs hatch, and you've got the larva in the standing water. The larval mosquitoes, this is the head at the bottom. They've got to come up to the surface to breathe, so they've got a snorkel. They're filter feeders. If you could see on their head, they've got a lot of different hairs. They're using the hairs to grab up everything in the water. They like stinky, organic water. They move from the larval stage to the pupal stage also in water. So again, if you get rid of the water, that's those first 3 life stages right there. This is where they're developing into adults. You can see some of the adult characteristics are coming out, like the wings, things like that. By the time they get to that stage, it's too late. They're already biting people. So on Cape Cod, at the mosquito control, you saw our 3 methods. None of them include driving a truck around spraying for adult mosquitoes. Off Cape, they do that. On Cape, we're lucky enough that the habitat that we have here is controllable by going out into the marshes with a product that will kill mosquitoes, testing the swamp water for mosquitoes in there, and then treating it with a bacteria that those mosquitoes in their larval stage will feed on and then die from. So here, this is the stages we're treating for, not that stage. And I do through the summer get calls, oh, mosquito control must have been by at night, I could hear the truck going by. It's always the painting, the road lines. Go out the side, are the road lines painted? It wasn't us. We're not out at night. We're out during the day killing mosquitoes. We've got about 4,000 sites on Cape Cod that we're visiting. There's actually, mapping was done back in the 20s before mosquito control was established here on the Cape. The reason why mosquito control was established on the Cape was actually not for disease necessarily, but as the Chamber of Commerce and a lot of businesses that got together wanted people to stay here and spend their money, and so they figured maybe get rid of mosquitoes and you'd have the people staying a little bit longer. So at that time, people went around, they actually had an entomologist go around the Cape and identify all of the different habitats where mosquitoes could be developing. We actually have those maps from the late 20s that show each one of those 4,000 places. Since then, even though we have those maps, now what we have in the trucks are iPads. We use ArcGIS online so they can see exactly where they are in each of the towns, see where the areas are where mosquitoes might be laying their eggs and developing, and then they go to those places, take water samples, and if they need to, treat. And we get real-time information from our crews. So if somebody calls our office and says they're having a mosquito problem, what we'll do is we can look, first of all, to see if the crew's been there lately, see what the crew found and what the crew did there, even that day, because now we're getting real-time information. If they're having a mosquito problem, what we'll do is send a crew out to that house. They'll take a walk around. They'll show them where the mosquitoes are coming from in their yard and do education. You know, dump out the containers. You won't have standing water, you won't have mosquitoes. So really, with any integrated pest management plan, any plan where you're trying to do something, you really have to have some good data. And for IPM, it's really all about surveillance, knowing what species are out there, if they're carrying diseases, knowing how effective your program is. So we have trap sites all over Cape Cod where we're using different types of traps so that we can look at those sorts of different situations. I've got 2 traps up here that we're using for arbovirus surveillance. Arboviruses are those diseases that mosquitoes transmit. Here on the Cape, what we're worried about, you'll notice I'm pushing Zika off to the end, what we're worried about is West Nile virus and Eastern equine encephalitis. Those are historically in this area. Those are transmitted by mosquitoes. They're here. We've got about 25 species of mosquitoes here on Cape Cod. Only a couple of those species are capable of transmitting disease. And it's very specific. Diseases evolve to be transmitted by certain species of mosquitoes. So you may have a lot of mosquitoes. In Brewster last year, we had a lot of saltwater mosquitoes. They don't transmit disease. They're not biting birds that would be carrying diseases. They're not capable. The disease hasn't evolved a way to get out of the mosquito. A mosquito will bite an infected bird in the case of West Nile virus and Eastern encephalitis. That mosquito will feed on the blood. Female mosquitoes need the protein in the blood to develop her eggs. And once that blood gets in there, the disease has figured out a way in certain species of mosquitoes to get back out of the gut and into their salivary gland. Now when that mosquito lands on something else, she spits her saliva in. She spits her saliva into you because she doesn't want your blood to coagulate when she bites you. She wants that blood to stay viscous. So she puts the anticoagulant in to keep the blood viscous. This is where the disease transmission occurs. She spits in her saliva and the disease goes in with her saliva. So, with West Nile virus and Eastern encephalitis, we're doing sampling on a weekly basis, going to a meeting at the Department of Public Health on Monday. They'll tell me when they're starting to do their testing. Probably the middle of June is my guess. We will start on a weekly basis, collecting from these traps. These are the types of traps we use for collecting the mosquitoes that are possibly carrying West Nile virus. I also like to show our traps because they look kind of weird, and even though they have labels on them, people see them, they're kind of weird. These are my mosquito traps. What they are is, with these gravity traps, they're organic water. A mosquito flies there to lay her eggs because it's organic water, and she gets sucked up into the net above. I take the mosquitoes back to my lab. When I collect from those, I keep them on ice, sort them on ice, ship them overnight on ice to the state labs for testing for West Nile virus. Do that on a weekly basis throughout the summer. We also have resting boxes out. So the mosquitoes that carry Eastern equine encephalitis are bird-biting mosquitoes. And they are not that attracted to my other traps. So what will happen is those mosquitoes will go out at night, feed on the roosting birds, pick up a blood meal, and perhaps pick up the disease, Eastern encephalitis then. They come down and they look for a place out of the sun, out of the wind, to sit and develop their eggs. Most likely to have picked up the disease at that point. They've bit a bird, they picked up the blood. They go into these boxes, they're just boxes. And I collect them out of those once a week, and I submit those for testing as well. So you can see, the only places I don't have marked are, we have a number of traps that are actually on Joint Base Cape Cod. Senior Environmental Corps helps me with the collections there, so they do those. West Nile virus and Eastern equine encephalitis. So stepping back, both of those diseases have the same disease cycle. A mosquito bites an infected bird, picks up the disease from the bird, and then carries it to another bird. That's the natural cycle for both of those diseases. With West Nile virus, the species of mosquito that bites birds also bites people. So a lot of people are most likely going to be exposed to West Nile virus. It is assumed in Massachusetts that West Nile virus is in every town. If somebody is out working at night, they should avoid mosquito bites. Not just because they're annoying, but even on Cape Cod, because they are potentially carrying West Nile virus. Eastern equine encephalitis is a little different. The mosquito that bites the birds and carries the disease and amplifies the disease is just a bird-biting mosquito. So she's not going to carry that disease into the human population. It takes another species of mosquito then to get it into the human population. It's a little harder to happen. So you don't see a lot of exposure like that. Eastern equine encephalitis is very rare. Thank goodness, because it's got about a 40% mortality rate, whereas West Nile virus has much less severe symptoms. So those are the two diseases that we're really focused on here on Cape Cod. Oh my goodness, Zika! Not on Cape Cod, well, in people on Cape Cod. So stepping back again, the way Zika is transmitted, there's no bird involved now. Now a mosquito bites a person, picks up the disease, and carries it to another person. That's with a lot of these viruses. I think for years they've been talking about chikungunya and dengue. I don't think you heard as much about it. Those are diseases that are affecting millions of people around the world. Those are diseases with very severe symptoms. Those are diseases that have the same cycle and carried by the same species of mosquitoes. Aedes aegypti, the yellow fever mosquito, not here. And Aedes albopictus is the Asian tiger mosquito. That's a species of mosquito that has been found in Massachusetts over the past couple of years. Since 2008, there's been surveillance going on for this mosquito because this mosquito carries all these diseases, and they're very severe diseases. So the concern is that if we had a lot of this Asian tiger mosquito, that we'd see more of these diseases because the vector would be here. I haven't picked it up. I've changed my trapping routine to include traps that specifically attract that mosquito. Haven't gotten any on the Cape. They're picking it up in places like tire facilities. New Bedford has a sustained population of that species of mosquito now. It's being collected at a site where tires are coming into that area from mid-Atlantic states. They're doing tire recycling or whatever they're doing there. There are a couple of different places around the state where that's happening. Are the Asian tiger mosquitoes really here and are the populations sustained? It's hard to tell because they keep getting reseeded by the movement of tires. Again, unless, and I spoke to the health agents about this as well, unless somebody else knows about it, I don't know anybody who's bringing tires onto the Cape for any reason in multiple, in huge uses. We do have traps on Joint Base Cape Cod because we talk about whether there's a movement of equipment or anything that could be happening. But again, haven't picked up any Asian tiger mosquito. This is just an idea of the habit. This is the places where it's been found. Asian tiger mosquito is relatively new to the United States. It came in tires in 1985, and you can see sort of the expansion. This is where it was in 2000, so it came into a number of different ports, and then it's expanded from there. This is what they keep showing on the news as the potential region for Asian tiger mosquito. And even still, you'll note Massachusetts is not highlighted on this map, even though we have a few populations. They're, again, not sustained. This is the Asian tiger mosquito, again, and this is Aedes aegypti, that yellow fever mosquito, the two that can carry Zika. This is more likely distribution of these mosquitoes. The CDC actually went out and asked different counties around the United States who's doing vector surveillance and who's picking up Asian tiger mosquito. And this is looking at those counties that reported in as having Asian tiger mosquito. So that's more likely. So back now, early 2000s, 2008, 2009, 2010, we started looking at Asian tiger mosquito in Massachusetts because we were concerned about these other diseases that are out there. Dengue, for instance, like I said, dengue is a serious disease. It's carried by Asian tiger mosquito. And you can see this is in 2010, the worldwide distribution for it. So not yet dengue in the United States. But you can see, for instance, in India, 7.5 to 32.5 million people with this disease. It's a very serious disease with very serious symptoms. The other disease that we're looking at is chikungunya. Sometimes I think Zika scares people because the symptoms are not as easy to see necessarily, and people are afraid because they're not sure if they've been infected and that the baby that a woman might be carrying might be affected by the disease. With chikungunya and dengue, you definitely know you have both of these diseases. This is a disease, so Asian tiger mosquito is in the United States, and these are the number of, in gray, travel-related cases of these diseases. So this is the only way to date that you could get something like Zika in Massachusetts. Just today I was listening, they were talking about a travel case of Zika in Connecticut. It's the only way right now you're going to see those diseases here, those travel-related cases. Now in a place like Florida, just to give you an example as to maybe how well we do mosquito control and how well we do use repellents and use screening on our windows, the mosquitoes are here that can transmit chikungunya, the same species that we're talking about. And yet what you saw in Florida that year, even though they had 447 travel-related cases, they only had 11 locally transmitted cases of dengue. And you really don't hear about large numbers of these diseases in the United States locally transmitted. Dengue and chikungunya, same cycle. So I have to say that's one of those things that maybe if you could see a light, that's the light. Those are the same conditions and you're not seeing transmission going on. So again, it's the same old message. That's what I told the health agents. It's the same old message. The thing is that the mosquitoes that are possibly carrying Zika or dengue or chikungunya lay their eggs in man-made containers. The same type of containers that the mosquitoes that potentially carry West Nile virus lay their eggs in. So just educating people to go around their house and around their facilities and empty out those containers after it rains. New disease, same old message. Empty out those containers after it rains. We continue to look for Asian tiger mosquito here on Cape Cod. I've asked people to let me know, and the boards of health, the health agents have done a good job of getting the word out. Asian tiger mosquitoes are very specific about their habits. They bite you in the middle of the day. We have other species of mosquitoes here that bite during the middle of the day. Those are salt marsh mosquitoes. Salt marsh mosquitoes are very aggressive. They fly 5 miles easily for a blood meal. They'll be out there biting you at noon. Same as these Asian tiger mosquitoes. The difference is that the Asian tiger mosquitoes, first of all, focus on your legs. The salt marsh mosquitoes will bite you anywhere. Asian tiger mosquitoes focus on your legs. Asian tiger mosquitoes are little teeny tiny black mosquitoes. So that's what we talk when we have people calling our office. These are the 3 questions we're asking them now to see if we can't focus on Asian tiger mosquitoes. Are they small black mosquitoes? Are they biting me during the day? Are they focusing me on my legs? Happy to go out and put out traps anywhere that anybody feels might be a problem, somewhere where there are a lot of containers holding water. Reminding people to empty out the containers in their yard. The Mass Department of Public Health has a fact sheet on mosquito repellents on their website. So for anybody who's out working in the evening outside, they should be focusing on repellents. I know there are a few different groups that we work with to make sure that you're picking the right type of repellents. And I know Larry Dapsis, who does the tick stuff, does the same. Really, it's taking a look at the repellent, looking at the label. Does it have an EPA registration number? It's like any pesticide. If it doesn't have an EPA registration number, that means it hasn't been tested for efficacy and it hasn't been tested for safety. So you should read the label, EPA registration number on it. You should use it by label instructions. There are a number of different active ingredients that have been shown to be effective for repelling mosquitoes. Oil of lemon eucalyptus, everybody thinks of DEET, picaridin. Those are all up on this site, and again, all you have to do is pick up a bottle and take a look to make sure it has that EPA registration number on it to show that it's effective. I think those are all different things that I've already talked about. If you have an interest, the Department of Public Health posts on their website weekly updates on risk categories for transmission of mosquito-borne diseases by town. So this is based on mosquito surveillance on Cape Cod that we're doing in Cape Cod mosquito control, as well as cases that might come in, human or animal cases. You can click on your town, you can look at the risk levels based on color. So this is the risk level at the end of 2015 for the Commonwealth of Mass for Eastern equine encephalitis. The green, towns in green, are at remote risk for transmission of disease. Blue are like one step up, one very tiny step up. Those are low risk for transmission. We have 3 towns that come up blue right now, Brewster, Dennis, and Barnstable, because historically that's where we picked up mosquitoes carrying Eastern equine encephalitis. West Nile virus risk categories, you can see the whole state starts at that blue. There's no green. That's because it's assumed that West Nile virus is being transmitted in all towns in Massachusetts. The level goes up when you get a number of positives. Just to give you an idea on the Cape for West Nile virus, what we've gotten in the past, so 2013 was a really wet year, and people are already asking me, what do you think is going to happen this year? I don't know, because I don't know if it's going to keep raining or if it's all of a sudden going to dry up. It's too early to say because the trees haven't all leafed out. As the trees leaf out, they suck up the water in the swamps, and you don't get the mosquito habitat. So anyway, this is our positives for 2013, and you can see the towns that we picked up West Nile virus in. 14 and 15 were super dry years. We only got positives in a couple locations those 2 years. I guess we're going to have to wait and see what this year brings. I don't know. So that's it. So I hope that wasn't too much. I tried to condense.
Very interesting.
Thanks.
Thank you.
Any questions?
Yes.
The bacterial,
Yep.
what do you recommend for that?
So when we're treating the water for mosquitoes, we use a product, the active ingredient is BTI, Bacillus thuringiensis israelensis. Yeah, I know, that's why I say BTI. Exactly. I'm not going to spell it. But they do sell it. So if somebody has, for instance, a fish pond that they're not aerating anymore, you can go to a hardware store. They sell mosquito dunks. That has the same active ingredient, and it's very effective. It's very effective against mosquito larvae. They feed on it. It ends up getting in their gut, which is alkaline, and then it ends up creating toxins that kill the larva. It's out of the environment in 48 hours. It doesn't stay in the environment. It doesn't build up. It has no effects on vertebrates. It really has no non-target effects because at the level we're applying it, even other insects that feed with that same filter feeding mechanism, that same habitat, it's not enough to control them. So right now we're, targeting. It's targeted. Yes?
2 questions, somewhat related. One, you mentioned one mosquito flying 5 miles for a meal.
Yep.
One. how far would the average mosquito, like, you know, if I'm doing the water thing around my house, but my neighbor's not doing it very well, I assume my neighbor's,
Yeah,
we're
that
talking
could be,
miles.
yeah. The saltwater mosquitoes will go 5 miles. They have no problem. So anywhere on Cape Cod, you could have a saltwater problem. If the mosquitoes are biting you at dusk or at nighttime, they're coming from your yard or your neighbor's yard. It could be coming from the swamp down the road, and I would not discourage somebody from calling. A lot of people call us, they want to tell us about what's going on with their neighbors. They looked over the fence, they can see. So, yeah, it's coming from you or your neighbor's house.
And then follow up to that, are they just unable to survive in like lakes and ponds just because the water's so turned over, or is it predators, or what?
Okay, so lakes and ponds, no mosquitoes, because of predators, one, but also because they're wide open, the surface tension is too much. They can't get those snorkels through there. They like a lot of emergent vegetation.
Thank you.
You're welcome. Yes?
We heard on the news a lot about the use of like genetically modified mosquitoes to try to impact some of the viruses. I just wonder if anything has been done in the U.S. about it, or whether it's just something to talk about.
Gainesville.
Yeah, Gainesville has. Yeah. Key West has been working on getting up to that level where they can do a release. I went to a national meeting in Savannah in February, and they were showing like technology for releases, also for sterile nail releases and things like that as well, where they're dropping mosquitoes by the millions out of airplanes. I mean, fans keep mosquitoes away. I don't know how you can drop one out of an airplane, then they live to go out and procreate or whatever. Right? It's like some sort of technology that they won't release. But no, there are a few different things that they're looking at. There are different parasites that they're looking at that would help keep the mosquitoes from being able to transmit diseases, things like that. But they haven't gotten to that point yet.
Anybody else?
I think we're good.
Thank you.
So, Kevin and the small group that are working on, will continue to work on getting some information out. I know Zika is sort of what helped drive us to talk about it, but our real concern and things like that is some of the other stuff that are really out there that we may have to deal with. For first responders, what we've been learning and just reaffirming to everybody is that your body substance barriers, what we normally do in all patients, will protect us, so we're not looking for anything special.
That's exactly right. And when I talk to other groups, I do mention the fact that Zika has been shown to be sexually transmitted. That's the only kind of transmission that's going to happen in this county, because we're not seeing the mosquitoes that can transmit it. So same old message with protecting yourself from, like you just said, body fluids and, yeah.
So again, so we're not looking at something where we were talking about Ebola before and things like that, but I think it's worth getting the information out. So I know Kevin's been working hard with the draft information sheet out, and we'll be looking to get that out in the near future when we have a chance to populate with more information and things like that, and thank you. Next up on the agenda, news, open announcements, or information for the association. Oh.
Just one other item, the Fire Academy is going to be sponsoring an ICS 400 class down in your neck of the woods.
Yes.
Okay, May 9th, 10th, and 11th. 300, what did I say, 400?
Yeah.
It's 300.
300. Yeah.
300. And there's still openings, you can register at their site, at the Barnstable Fire Academy website.
So ICS 300, Wellfleet Fire Station. Amy.
If you're in the Hyannis neighborhood on May 28th, I know it's a holiday weekend, but if you have friends or family that have infants and young children, the Well Baby Fair is going to be at the Hyannis Youth Community Center Saturday, May 28th from 10 to 2. And there is a lot of good safety, family emergency planning information, wellness information. So, you know, come out and support us, and we're going to have an emergency preparedness table distributing KI, because it's very relevant to that young age group, and emergency planning information as well. So it's the 28th from 10 to 2 at the community, and it's free.
Thank you. Anybody else? All right, public comment? Sounds good. Outstanding. In less than an hour, I'll take a motion to adjourn from any. Second. All right, all in favor. Thank you, everybody.